I'd like to call this meeting to order, the meeting of the Budget Subcommittee, Scarborough. I'd like to welcome everybody who has come out today to speak to us. We have, just to let you know, there's a subcommittee of the Budget Committee that has been going to a number of areas out in the city to listen to the residents, not downtown, but the rest of the part of the city. So we have a subcommittee. We've broken our committee into two. This subcommittee has Councillor Carroll, Councillor Layton, myself, and Councillor Berardinetti on that. And we will be here today to be listening to deputations on the 2016 budget. So there will be an opportunity at 3 p.m., then an opportunity at 6 p.m. to debut to us. This is part of the process of bringing together the city budget. Again, of course, understanding that public deputations and listening to the public is a big part of the decisions we'll be making in the budget to get a sense of what the residents of this city, what their priorities are and what their choices are. So this is an opportunity for you to speak to us, and we will be listening intently, probably asking questions, and that will help us formulate whatever decisions we'll end up making, which will begin starting next week at the Budget Committee. From the Budget Committee, it'll be moving on to Executive. From Executive, it'll be moving on to full City Council, probably in about a month or so, approximately. So we are here to listen to you. I have a list of deputants who have registered. If there are any deputants in the audience who have not registered but would like to speak, you just have to come down and see clerks. And we'll be able to get you on the list. What we'll do is I will go down. You will have 5 minutes to depute, which is to speak to us. There's a podium just up there. You can just come on down. And again, I will, you notice there's 2 clocks just up here. So I'll actually be timing them, and I will be letting you know probably a little bit before 5 minutes if you are just to maybe wrap up or something like that. And other than that, we're here to listen to you, and we look forward to whatever. Oh, and after that, by the way, so after we do the 5 minutes, the councillors will all have an opportunity or an option to ask you questions for up to 5 minutes. Now, that may be just questions of clarification on what you said, but we will, depending on if we need more information, we may ask you questions on your deputation, and that's about it. On that, why don't we begin? First of all, are there any declarations of possible conflict of interest? Seeing none. We will begin with the speakers. I will ask for, and again, apologize on pronunciation if I don't get it correctly. It's a Debi Young Wata from the Wata Theatre. Hi, come on up. So just go up to the middle podium, and there will probably be a little button that you'll actually press if it's not on, and a light will come on, and that'll let you have have a mic.
Thank you.
There we go. Perfect. So you'll have 5 minutes, and I will just indicate just before the 5 minutes if you don't use it all. And just give us your name again.
Yes. My name is Debi Young. You did pronounce it
Oh, I
perfectly.
did? Okay. Good. Excellent.
Water Theatre Institute. Good afternoon, representatives. Good afternoon, members of our community. I'm here representing the artists of Scarborough and beyond. Who amongst us carries the sage secrets of loving? Where are our elders? Where are our children? The ones who walk with the old-time knowledge of a healing love, an unapologetic love, an uncompromising love, our honest love. If you tell me who, I will sit studently by the rivers of their feet, washing away all this unknowing that I have come to know, relearning a language of honesty, relearning a language of integrity, relearning a language of compassion, because these languages were carved on our heart's tongue by ancient ones who somehow we have forgotten. It's like somewhere between a dream and a timelessness across the ocean waters our sons and daughters, our mothers and fathers, our aunties, uncles, sisters and brothers. They stretched love's fabric thick and thin. So now here we are trying to heal these scars of wars, these scars of broken fiber that stick up inside us like maca. Who amongst us carries the sage secrets of loving? Where are our elders? Where are our children? The ones who walk with the old-time knowledge of a healing love, an unapologetic love, a forgiving love, an uncompromising love. If you tell me who, I will sit studently by the rivers of their feet, because I want to unlearn all this unknowing that I have come to know. I want to relearn a language of integrity. I want to relearn a language of compassion. I want to relearn a language of forgiveness, because these languages were carved on our heart's tongue by ancient ones who somehow we have forgotten. I cannot promise to love our communities fearlessly, but I can promise to love our communities courageously. I can promise to love our communities respectfully and with integrity. We are a multi-dimensional community. We are a multi-racial community. We are a multi-gendered community. We are a multi-abilitied community. We are a multi-classed community. Global peoples. Arts funding allows us to create the spaces to express our humanity. Without arts funding, there is no space to support all of our communities, to understand our very complex humanity, particularly in these times. When we look around us, there is so much fear, so much violence, so much hate, so much lack of love. And our young people don't know how to express themselves. The programs are being cut. The arts funding is being cut. We're yet to see the promise realized in this budget for arts funding. In Scarborough particularly, where our youth live on the margins, where our youth are dropping out of schools, where our youth are being criminalized, where our youth don't have a voice. It is crucial that arts funding be approved so that we can give our youth, our people, a future. Just like one was given to me, I am the product of arts funding in this country. And now I teach. And that would not have been possible without your support as I was growing up. And so I'm here asking you humbly to consider the necessity, the crucial necessity, to revive our communities by providing arts funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the speaker?
All questions answered.
Thank you. Just again, more of a point of clarification. You talked about cuts to the arts funding. I just wanted to clarify that, in fact, over the last 3 years, we've done historic increases to arts funding.
Yes.
At this point, to the tune of, I think, over $12 million a year. So you understand that there actually has been no cuts to arts funding. In fact, we've increased it considerably.
Yes, and that increase needs to be more. I'm speaking specifically to the fact that in this budget, we still haven't accounted for the increase that was promised. And it's crucial. For example, I'm a member of the Toronto Arts Leaders Lab, and that program wouldn't have been possible without the increased funding. There are so many programs that need funding on the ground. The way it looks is things are improving, but we need to continue desperately. We need to continue to grow.
Absolutely, and I agree. So there's so what we have right now, there's a $5 million amount that it hasn't been cut, but it's just kind of sitting there waiting for council to say, yes,
I'm
we will put that in.
so happy it hasn't been cut.
Oh, absolutely
That
not. So I
makes
just
me
wanted to
so
clarify that, so it's kind of sitting there, and we have to decide whether or not we want to put it in the budget, but it hasn't been
Please
cut.
put it in the budget.
And that's your message. Thank you.
Please. Thank you.
Okay, next we'll have Brenda Thompson to speak. And after that, Daniela Kulmetis. Welcome, Brenda.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Crawford and members of council, Berardinetti, Carol, and Leighton. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm probably going to be very brief because I think I'm speaking too much these days. But I guess I just am. Of course, I'm an advocate for transit, especially in Scarborough, and just to give you a picture of what it's like to be a transit rider in Scarborough, especially people who live not in my neighborhood but nearby, people in Scarborough Village, Kingston, Galloway, and Orton. These people, the majority of them don't have a driver's license, and so they're walking to a lot of places, and they're walking a lot across 6 lanes of traffic often. And if they need to get to Cedar Brae Mall or they need to get to Scarborough Town Centre, they're going to need to take a bus. And I would really like it if we could be conscious of their transit needs going forward, because I think they are really the ones that are really having to suffer whenever we have a fare increase, whenever we don't provide the service increases, especially bus service. So we are going to get a subway in Scarborough, but the people in these neighborhoods are not going to really benefit from that subway. And so it makes the bus service in Scarborough vitally important. And I know that there is a poverty reduction strategy that has gone forward, and that there was an ask in that reduction strategy that the fare increase be funded. I think there's $17 million that would come from the fare increase, and they're asking that that be funded as part of the poverty reduction strategy. Mayor Tory did promise a fare freeze, and he did very generously provide free transit for children under 12, and that's a very good thing. But I'm really hoping that this committee can find that 17 million so that we don't need to keep increasing fares on people who are already having a hard time getting around in Scarborough, and some of them are not even able to use the transit system because of financial need. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? No.
Maybe if
hold on. Brenda?
just one question. There's several unfunded lines around the maintenance of vehicles that we've asked for a briefing note about what that will mean for travel time. But on King Street and on St. Clair, they piloted a program that with enhanced maintenance, we can reduce the number of short-turning streetcars, which streetcars going out of service while they're carrying people. There are several lines in the budget about doing the same for buses. So on the reliability end and ensuring we have vehicles, you think that would be worthwhile money to spend? I think it's roughly $6 or $7 million, which is equivalent to a 0.33% tax increase. Do you think that is worthwhile money to spend to ensure
Yes.
that we have vehicles to carry
Yes.
people around?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of situations in Scarborough where there are short turns on the buses, and that would definitely
Or
help.
buses going out of service right in the middle of a route? Or,
Yeah, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Next is Daniela Kulmetis. You'll have to correct me on your last name, I'm not too sure if I pronounced it properly.
Okay.
Thank you, whenever you're ready.
Hello and good afternoon, Mr. Crawford and council members. My name is Daniela Kilmetis, and I am a coordinator for the Student Nutrition Program at Roywood Public School in Toronto, Ward 34. Our school has been successfully running this program for over 6 years. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for the funding the city has given in the past for the Student Nutrition Program. I am here today to ask for an additional funding of $1.6 million to meet the growing demand towards the program. Your donation will be well spent for healthy and nutritious food for all children involved. With a total of 200 children from JK to grade 5, students are served a grain, a dairy, and a fruit 5 days a week. Starting the second week of September until the end of July. 25% are unable to afford a small amount of $5 per month. In reality, with the rising food cost and our desire to run the program for the entire school year means we often need to resort to serving smaller portions and less food groups. The program is universal and is offered to everyone regardless of ability to contribute financially, religious restrictions, and food allergies. Our primary source of funding is provided by the municipal and provincial grant funding, which flows through the Toronto Foundation for Student Success. Despite the best efforts of our volunteers and staff, it's simply not enough. With the help of our parent volunteers, we work together daily to provide a healthy, nutritious snack to all children. Being on the front lines, I see the reality and benefits the program has. I hear from a number of children on a daily basis. Thank you for snack. I didn't have breakfast this morning. I don't have lunch. Can I have an extra sandwich? In one case, a child has stated to his mother that the only time he gets fruit is from the snack program. So in reality, this might be the only nutritious meal of the day for many children. Teachers have expressed to me how some students are entering the classroom already stating they're hungry before the day has even begun. I have a kindergarten student who never had snack, nor did she have breakfast in the morning. When the teacher had asked the children to get their snack, she quietly waited on the carpet. Once everyone was seated, she would make her way over to the bin and take whatever was left, but sometimes it was empty. The teacher explained to me how she would benefit from the program, but simply cannot afford it, which in the long run, not eating healthy affects their learning development and can result in behavioral issues. She is now on the program and is a much happier child. In closing, I'd like to thank the council for continued support against the program, and I look forward to many more years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions, Councillor Carroll?
Yes, thank you. I missed what school you're delivering the program.
Roywood Public School, Ward 34.
Right, okay, so you're in the public school program. So
Yes.
you're getting from Toronto Foundation for Student Success.
Yes.
So you mentioned at the beginning that you hope we fund the whole 1.6 million. You're in a school that has the program. The 1.6 also expands to other schools.
Correct.
Are there schools in your family of schools that still don't have the program?
Not in the neighborhood, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure there is. I don't know all the schools in the neighborhood, but I'm sure there is. I hear it all the time. And I also hear the students that have left that have gone to the middle schools. I hear it. I miss your snack. We don't get what you give. I'm hungry. Sometimes they get to the bin and there's nothing there. So I hear it.
You hear it,
I do,
right?
absolutely.
Through the whole system. Because we have the 1.6 is broken down into amounts. There's the amount to make sure that we're keeping the quality of food up in your school, and another amount to expand, and then another to make sure all of them are keeping pace with inflation. But you're asking for the whole amount. You want to see those schools get the program as well.
I would love that. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think probably most of the schools that are coming to speak on behalf of their existing program feel the same way. I thank you for coming to speak.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Mayor Goudet. Mayor Goudet. Okay, next will be Cindy Leroy, or Leroy. Welcome, Cindy. You will have
Good afternoon.
5 minutes.
I am here to represent, yes, I recognize you, Michelle. I'm here to represent my school, which is Birchmount Park Collegiate. It's a high school, and we have a breakfast program. So our program, every day, we serve grain, fruit, yogurt, and milk. We have recently added grilled cheese to our menu, and we're hoping, starting second semester in February, that we'll be adding eggs to our program. Our program is totally inclusive. We have creatively found a way to ensure that all students can access our breakfast club. For example, the DD staff will collect breakfast for the DD students. An EA collects breakfast for the physically handicapped students. Students who are bused or arrive too late to access the program have been accommodated by food being put aside for them, or they can come and find me in class, which some of them do, and they will get the food that's needed. As well, students who, for various reasons, do not have lunches are taken care of, and lunches are made for them, some on a daily basis, sadly, and some just on as needed. This program provides much-needed nutrition for the students of the school. For some of the students relying on the program, it is the most nutritious meal they eat, and some the only meal they get all day. In this program, we serve anywhere between 165 and 200 students per day, which is 25% of our population. We are very fortunate to have the students who assist me in running the program. I've also got other EAs to facilitate and continue this service when I cannot be at the school. This way, no student will ever go hungry, even in my absence. The students who volunteer in the program have the opportunity to learn about leadership and communication and even compassion. This, in turn, will help them build their own self-esteem and their own confidence. There has been a very positive response from both the admin and the teaching staff. The students often speak positively about our program. They even feel comfortable enough to come and ask me if I can provide something or serve them something specific for breakfast. There have been many studies to show that students who have a good breakfast will be more alert and functional in their schoolwork. This is extremely important at a high school level. When we introduced grilled cheese on Mondays to our breakfast program, and that's because myself sometimes I find Mondays hard to get together, the students responded with much delight. There is always a high demand for this item, and it helps them to begin their week with something to look forward to. Mondays find more students than ever, eagerly awaiting for that breakfast window to open. Just this past Monday, 10 loaves of grilled cheese sandwiches and toast and fruit and yogurt served as well. This program is very successful, but it could be enhanced if I had more tools to work with. For example, I need an industrial-sized refrigerator to accommodate the constantly growing orders for which I have no space to store my product. Another essential addition is a portable sink. I have to wash my fruit, and I have to walk a long way from the program to get it there and back. I would like to thank you both for your past and ongoing contributions that have enabled all breakfast programs to succeed. Successful breakfast clubs will always make for happy and successful students, and we have most definitely reaped the benefits of this at Birchmount Park. Thanks for your ongoing support, which indeed is greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Councillor Carroll.
I have a question, especially since because yours is some of the older kids are the recipients in your school. So I have to ask, because you mentioned you harken back to the work done in the past to get this together, and some of the past is being forgotten. At Amalgamation, when we had to move from being allowed to have these as part of education to setting up those foundations and send the work now, we went through a big exercise to determine whether or not we should continue to deliver it as a universal program or in each school, or start means testing, and there's a room and you have to prove you're poor and then you go in. And we determined that it would kill the program if we started to do that. But the past is being forgotten, and there are a couple of members of council who are asking, why do we not means test for who gets to eat the food? Would that be a problem in your school if we start doing that?
Yes, it would be. There are kids. I'm not going to deny we have a very successful beef program at our school. the exceptional athlete program. And those kids do an extra period of school a day. So they come in the morning, they're usually there about 6:45, and they'll have already had breakfast at home, but then they'll have worked out for an hour and a half, and they'll come running upstairs and grab a milk and a piece of fruit to cover them to go to class because they're absolutely starving. And I mean, I think that we have to focus on the fact that the kids, that more and more today, I mean, with the rising food costs, I'm finding it myself. I shop all over, and I've hunted down some of the grocery stores and gone to the actual owners and said, look, what can you do for us? And I've been able to get some of the grocery stores to give us 10% off on whatever we need to buy. But we still, we need to feed our kids. Kids, it affects behavior, it affects mood, it affects their life in general.
And those kids from the elite program suddenly filling the room, does that kind of make it a more easy room for the kids who actually have no food at home? It makes it easier for them to walk in the room?
Yes, I would say that it does,
Thanks.
because they're made to feel equal.
Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy. I just have a couple questions myself, if you want to. No, I was, as I
Sorry.
was chatting with you, I was the trustee of Birchmount when we instituted that actually at the high school. And I just want you to comment, and this was an unfortunate misconception as we were looking at implementing a program, because it was more with older kids in high school. And the comment came out not a lot, but a number of times as well, there is really no need, because the high school students, they should have the means to be able to, provide lunch, whether, they can go get a job, that kind of, misconception. I just wanted you to sort of comment on that, about, the real need. Even, you sometimes appreciate in younger grades where the children have to rely on the parents and all that, who may or may not, but as you get older, you can rely on yourself. And I just want you to comment on that, on the need that you would still find in a high school like yours.
Well, I did actually do the morning meal and breakfast program at Walter Perry, which is a junior school, and actually Michelle was the counselor at that point, and I served 360 kids a day. And the families that go, I mean, kids grow up, and circumstances don't always change. That's the one thing. And with the kids, there's a lot of kids at Birchmount that I knew from my old school, from Walter Perry, and I know the family and I know the community, and the need is still there. There's not the jobs. I mean, you have parents that are working 2 and 3 part-time jobs just to try and keep rent and, food, minimal food on the table, and it's not plausible today. We have to have them, help them out. I never say no to a kid, and Michelle knew that from when I was at Walter Perry. If a kid comes to me and says, Miss, I'm really hungry, and there's nothing absolutely at home, and I have stuff that's left over from the end of the week because I can't keep it, it's not going to be usable, I will send that home with that student.
Yep.
So there is definitely a need, and I think in high school, these kids are growing. They could eat all day if you let them. I have a son, and that's what he used to do. I'd feed him dinner, and 2 hours later, he'd be eating a whole new dinner. These kids are no different. They're just, it's just not available to them. And I think we really need to try and support them, and the funding that comes from the breakfast program does that.
Great. Anyway, thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
Next is Matthew Truong. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. So, good morning, City Council and community. Where? Oh,
Go ahead, you're good.
Oh, yeah. My name is Matthew Trong, and I'm a grade 12 student attending Mary Ward Catholic Secondary School, a part of Ward 39. So my school does an extraordinary program that we offer our students, and that's a breakfast program. So my school has been doing this breakfast program for about 2 years, and over this time, I have seen that our school has had a wonderful development in learning, and our students actually perform better. Our program is universal, regardless of financial contribution. So every morning, our program is a grab-and-go service, where as volunteers, we'll have the food placed out in our front foyer, and students will walk in and grab something and go back to their classrooms or where they're supposed to be for that period or for their TA. Additionally, we usually serve 3 types of products. We serve a dairy product, a grain product, and a fruit. For the grain product, we usually serve a grain, which is a cereal. We also have a toaster, but we found that it's very difficult to serve hot food because we have trouble finding and we have trouble providing and heating up so much food at one time. We are given around 2 toasters, which are like, we put the food in and it comes out and it's toasted. And we find that it is a very difficult process for us to serve hot food, so we usually give out cold food, which is usually cereal or pretzel sticks. We also give out a fruit, which is usually an apple, orange, or a plum in some cases. So my school community is filled with about 1,200 students. And in these 1,200 students, we usually serve an average of 500 students a day. Our school receives financial support from non-financial support from Food Share, Toronto Public Health, TCDSB, and AFL. Some reasons why students will use this breakfast program are that they live very far away from school. So my school is like special. Our program offers a self-directed type of learning, so we are very popular between our school, and a lot of students from very far away like to come to our schools. As a result, since they live so far, they have to leave very early. They've been telling me that usually in the morning, they do not have enough time to come to school, and that when they do come to school, they don't find enough time to actually eat anything. So our breakfast program allows students who have to come to school very early, who don't have time to eat at home, to actually have a meal in the morning. So our school is very lucky to have around 20 student volunteers. Our 20 student volunteers usually are divided up into small groups. So there's around 6 student volunteers in the morning serving food to the students, and around 14 student volunteers who serve after school and help prepare stuff for the next morning. Also with me today is Ms. Raymond, and she is an instructional assistant who also helps me a lot to deliver this program. I volunteered to such an amazing organization because I wanted to join a charity that helped my local community. I believe in the importance of helping my neighbors, and there was no better club for me to join that meets this need than Angel Foundation for Learning. This program is needed in our school community because it gives students an opportunity to be energized and ready to work in the morning. With such a busy schedule students face every morning, it's important for them to have a good breakfast, which we have the privilege to provide to them. My school faces a few challenges, and that's that it's very difficult for us to give hot meals. And also, we have a fridge problem. Our fridge problem is that we have 2 regular fridges, but with deliveries coming in every week, it is very hard to store things. So on behalf of the Mary Ward school community, we would like to thank the City and Budget Committee for their financial contributions to our cause to allow this program at Mary Ward Catholic Secondary School.
Thank you very much. Are there questions of the committee to begin? Councillor Carroll.
Yes, just wondering, Matthew, has your school evaluated some of those problems around the refrigeration, cold chain, that sort of thing? Does your school have a design or a request for how you could improve that?
I'm actually not that quite sure about that. I just find that since I volunteer at the after school and the morning, I just find that it's really difficult, and we run out of space all the time trying to put away the dairy products that have to be cold.
Right. So, we're
we sometimes also have to use the staff refrigerator.
Yeah. So part of the program, there's creating part of the 1.6 million is divided into 2 parts, and one is allowing new schools to have these. But part of the strengthening the program is dealing with some of those issues in some of the schools that are running programs now. So your school could really use that part of the fund.
Yes.
Sounds like. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
All right,
Thank you,
very
Councillor Carroll. I also want to introduce Councillor Lee. Councillor Karygiannis and Councillor DeBaremaker, who are three Scarborough councillors who are here today. And Councillor Karygiannis, I believe you had a question.
I've heard a lot of things about the program at Mary Ward, and for that I thank you for being one of the student volunteers and working at it. I guess you're missing a fridge. I'm looking to change my fridge, and as soon as I do, I'll get in touch and hopefully get it over there to you. Can you let us know, please? I know Mary Ward is on the scale of affluent, middle affluent, less affluent. I'd say Mary Ward is somewhere between middle affluent to top affluent, the students that go there, the income of parents and all that stuff. And I realize the program is there to help students not only of the less affluent, but middle and upper. How is the program received by students? Is there, do people give people funny looks if they come into the program? Or is everybody accepting of the program and everybody's coming into,
So our programs are grab and go, so it's actually really quick. People just walk into school, grab it, and leave. They'll say thank you, of course, but no one's embarrassed to come. People just like are okay with it, and everyone loves the program, and everyone's like, I guess they're okay, they're good, yeah.
are some of the students, let's say, shying away from coming into the program, or is everybody accepted
So
right
we're
across and everybody welcomes the program that is there?
So we're a pretty new program. In the beginning, there were a few students who were real shy and a few students who didn't know what was going on because they didn't understand that it was free. People kept asking, do we have to pay for this? And of course, we tell them, no, you don't. It's like a grab and go. You can just take it and go back to class. So no, in the beginning, now no one is shy, but in the beginning, yes, people were shy. But I think we've sort of like moved on over the last 2 years, and everyone's like pretty productive in taking it.
I realize that you got a local coordinator that looks into accessing food and bringing food in and talking to the local merchants. I'm not sure if you're part of that, but or maybe somebody else can help us in this. How successful are you to reaching out to the local merchants in the community and saying, look, we got the program running. Can you help us out by giving us discount on food, giving us the food at cost? How successful are you?
I've talked to my teacher, and we don't get discounts.
You got some help coming down, right?
Oh, yeah. Our program doesn't get discounts from our merchants, I've been told by my teacher.
Sorry, can you repeat that, please?
We don't get discounts from merchants, I heard from my teacher, Ms. Malgin.
You don't get discounts because you haven't reached out, or you don't get discounts because the merchants in the local area do not know that the program exists?
Actually, if I may help, we actually don't know about that, and we are willing to, if we are introduced to those local markets, we will probably take the opportunity to use.
The reason that I'm asking is that in the area that you have some chains that are not national, but they're smaller chains, like TNT, Bambi, and I'm not sure if an effort has been done to reach out to the local markets, which are run by, the Chinese folks in the area, and if they have responded positively on this, or if you're looking for some help in order for this to be done.
So we get most of our deliveries from Greenfields.
Yeah.
So what happens is, in the beginning of the month, our teacher, Ms. Malgin, will create an order for them, and they'll deliver it every week. And we mainly use Greenfields.
Okay, is it that you're not willing to explore other possibilities, or we don't have the capability to reach out to these other folks?
Oh, definitely, we are willing to reach out to others, because wherever we can get a reduction of the cost, that will be great. But at the moment, we are using what we have, and as we get information, we are reaching out and to explore on that. Right now, we are serving milk and fruits, different type of fruits, yogurt, cereal, and we did toast before. The kids are really enjoying this. At the first, to explore a little bit more what Matthew have said. At first, when we started this program, the kids were very shy, a little reluctant. And so the student will be serving, and we will be standing, I'm one of them, who will be standing by the front of the door and say, the breakfast program, don't shy, please go, it's for you. And what we have noticed, their learning ability has improved at Mary Ward. since this breakfast program has introduced to Mary Ward School. But yes, Mr. Kerjanis, you know you are always at Mary Ward, and we know that your interest is there. And definitely, if I can come to your office, or you can let us
So-
know that if
So
there's any other.
Local merchant participation would be welcome. This is what you're telling me.
Yes.
Okay.
So I have a feeling Councillor Karygiannis will be continuing this
Well,
conversation with
you see, Chair, I mean, if I can just digress on something for you to do, should we approach the local merchants? I think the Integrity Commissioner might wrap our knuckles. And this is something,
Again, I,
but anyways, I'm in conversation with the food chair, and we will be
Oh,
reaching out to you.
definitely.
that's something we'll talk
Mr.
about.
Yeah.
Kerrigan is always at our school, so we welcome him.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we might, if we have a break, because this list ends and then there's a break before our next guests come at 6, we maybe want to go through the distribution method that Angels for Learning and Toronto Foundation for Success use, because they not only gather the funds, but do a tremendous amount of bulk sourcing that the councillor may not be aware of. So maybe we can have a chat about that offline, so that we can be as constructive as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councillor, I think we'll go to we're here to listen to the residents, so, yeah. 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 Mahmoud Osman? Thank you very much for coming. Thank you. Mahmoud Osman? Again, Mahmoud Osman? Okay. Next, and the last speaker that I have on the list is David I. Papp. David Papp. Welcome, David. Thank you for coming, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, council members. Good afternoon. My name is David Papp. I would like to speak on two different issues. I guess the first one would be a recurring theme that seems to be coming up, but mine is coming from a little different slant angle. And that would be a food issue as well. Like, I notice, like, I'm a low-income person as well, and when I go to these food kitchens, I notice that a lot of people I speak to, they, because of past provincial premiers have raised the ceiling and the rent increases, and so like the rents are very high in Toronto, and a lot of people are telling me that they have to come to these food kitchens because a lot of their income is going towards rent. And so I heard it thrown about in the news a few years back that they were talking about, I don't know whether it was on a provincial level or the city level, but they were talking about some kind of topping up people's low-income checks for like a food supplement. So that's one idea I was thinking of, because there seems to be a need for something like that. And then the other thing I would like to talk about is there's a lot of people that are using these overnight shelters, and they're coming up with this Presto Pass. It's already, I guess, in use in certain parts. I heard it's being used in the suburbs like Richmond Hill or wherever. And so anyhow, they're going to implement it very shortly. And so I think it's imperative that they come up with some kind of special pass for low-income people that, you know, cannot really afford to pay for the Presto Pass, because they're doing away with the monthly Metro Pass as well as the tokens. So I think it's very important that there's some kind of strategy implemented to fill the gap for people, because they have to go from one shelter to another, and then they use the warming centers as well as you know, the daily drop-ins, the day drop-ins, and then they have to go back to the shelter at night. So if they can't afford the Presto Pass and there's no tokens for them to access, then they're going to have a really hard time getting back and forth, and as well as other low-income people like somebody mentioned previously in another meeting, like Scarborough's really spread out, and people have to walk very long distances to get from point A to point B. So I think this is a very important thing to look at. So that's about all I got to say.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the Councillor Carroll?
Yes, did you say, are you volunteering at one of the shelters, or?
No, I'm just a client, basically. I'm a low-income person as well.
Oh, okay. So is there are people starting to discuss the concern about moving away from tokens, or are people starting to talk about it? We're finding that people come down to the Toronto Transit Commission as well. Councillor DeBearmaker and I are on that group, and we're having trouble getting the word out that when the Presto card comes out, and some people are already owning them and using them because they live close to a Presto station, but we're also working on like a daily pass ticket. So for people who might be at a shelter, and some of the programs where they'll hand out a token and say, we want you to go here and get some food, or go to the other residence for the night, things like that, where right now they're handing out tokens. They'll still have a cardboard version of Presto that they could hand out that you can use for one day. So we are working on a solution for those programs, but it's not being discussed in any of the facilities that you're in right now?
It's being discussed some, but a lot of people don't realize it because it's happening so fast. Like, some people think Presto's gonna be like 2 years away, but I heard they're gonna start implementing it at the end of this year or something, by the end of this year.
It is coming really quickly, but what I'm hearing from you is that we need to make a bigger effort to come out and talk to you about what would work the best in terms of those daily passes. We need to come out and speak to you directly, don't we?
Yeah, people are in the dark about it, so they don't know what's going on at all.
Okay. I think Commissioner DeBearmaker and I need to take that back on your behalf. Thank you for coming.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for
Thank you.
coming today. We do have actually one more speaker, Marika Good. Now, Marika, you were on there was a list here, maybe in a typo, I pronounced your name M-A-R-E. Is it Marika or Mari? Marika, okay. That's okay. That's good. Anyway, it's all yours. You have 5 minutes to speak.
Thank you. I'd like to speak to you today about Scarborough and the GTA has lost its only youth shelter, a vital service that was operating in the community for about 23 years, that was purpose-built, designated, and donated by the taxpayers. According to an appraisal done on March 11th, 2003, it cost the taxpayers $2.26 million to build Second Base Youth Shelter. So the appraisal came in, and there was an appraisal done in 2003, and it came in at $2.7 million. We understand that this public entity has been sold at a discount of $2 million right now. So I note the following. The offer to sell has to be demonstrated and posted in various areas in order for an opportunity for the taxpayer to receive multiple expressions of interest that can result in the greatest value to the taxpayer. Was this done? The building was appraised at $2.7 million on March 3rd, 2003. Then after 12 years, it's only worth $700,000. It may or may not be. Multiple expressions of interest or offers would help solidify the fact that this is the best deal for the taxpayer. I'm a taxpayer like you are. Don't we want the best deal for our hard-earned dollars? The highest and best use of the property is a youth shelter. Where are our kids in Scarborough going to go? Where are they going right now? The closest youth shelter is downtown. There are additional expenses, time, effort, and a lot of unnecessary additional stress for our at-risk and homeless youth.
and that's if they are lucky enough to find a spot. With the loss of the second base youth shelter, we have effectively removed 60 beds from an already overburdened youth shelter system. $2.7 million in 2000 is like $3.34 million in today's dollars, according to the Bank of Canada rates. Prices have risen 33.6% from 2000 to the end of 2015. The building sold for $700,000. Is this good value for the taxpayer? In the public records and agreements on file, there is no evidence that gives second base management the authority to sell this public entity. In a decision made by the OMB on October 5, 1988, I note the following. 2 young men who identified themselves as being street kids testified in support of the proposed shelter. They believe that such a shelter is needed for young people who have been abused and neglected by their parents and who are seeking comfort and guidance to survive. They agree that street kids are not angels and sometimes break laws, but are not a threat to residents surrounding a youth shelter. In their view, street kids are not as hard as the public believes. They all need help and desire to change their ways. They hurt themselves, not the community, who shouldn't prejudge them. Also noted in this document, the need for, pimps and drug pushers stay away from supervised youth shelters. The need for youth shelters is an unfortunate consequence of the attitudes of some adults, whether they are parents or fellow citizens. I'm here to ask you, in this circumstance, to please put about $4 million in the budget to replace the shelter that we have lost. It's greatly needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Marika. Are there questions of the Deputant Councillor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Bertonetti first.
Marika, so are you aware that there's a debt on the facility? Do you know that there's about $600,000 debt on that facility? Are you aware of that? I just want to know if you're aware of that.
Well, the last I heard was there was a $450,000 mortgage on it. And I know that since 2012, when I personally put over $200,000 in that bank account, it's all been depleted, and they've put up another almost $100,000 of debt load. But these are not insurmountable
sorry, I'm just
things.
asking you the question of, are you aware that the facility is on land that's not owned by the facility, that the land is owned by the church?
And interestingly enough, in these documents, it talks about that, where this is an unusual situation.
Right.
And it was based upon experience out in Etobicoke with youth shelters. So it speaks to that, and it also speaks to, in the appraisal, there is something here that says that, I should have marked it, something to the effect that youth shelters on leased lands are public or city-owned institutions.
Are you aware that the church owns the land?
Yes.
Okay. And are you aware that the city is actually, in fact, looking for another facility to open up another youth shelter? Are you aware of that?
Yes, I am aware of that. From the last that I heard, the city was looking for an already existing provider to come in and open up a youth shelter with their own building. And I don't think, from what I've heard, I could be wrong, that anyone has come forward with that criteria. I don't know.
And do you know that they're continuing to look for another facility? Are you aware of that?
Yes, I am. I guess my issue is that since October the 1st, our youth have nowhere to go.
Are you aware that the majority of youth are actually going to the downtown facilities because they choose to live in the downtown rather than in Scarborough? Are you aware of that?
I've spoken to a lot of youth who will be, some of which I have written in petition that we have, how difficult that proposition is for them, given their vulnerability, given their issues, removing them, uprooting them from their home turf or environment, putting them downtown, as I said, causes all kinds of additional issues. And if they're lucky enough to find a spot. So I don't believe, from what I've heard, that our youth in Scarborough are the ones who said we want to go downtown.
Oh, you're not aware of that?
No, I actually, in my experience, have not heard any youth say that who has used second base.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay. Thank you
that's,
very much.
I
Thank
have
you,
not heard
Councillor
that.
Berardinetti. I guess Councillor De Bearmaker, Deputy Mayor De Bearmaker, did you have some questions?
Sure, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, and I have a great affinity for the shelter. I was in this very council chamber back in 1987 and 1988, speaking in favor of the shelter and gathering petitions in favor of the shelter as a local resident, because our local councillor back then, Kirk Christensen, was horribly opposed to the shelter, but we got it built. So I understand what you're saying, but can you tell me if I'm correct? I thought it wasn't the city that closed down the youth shelter. It was the board themselves that closed their own doors. And we were surprised that they did that, but wasn't, so do you think it wasn't the city that closed it down, it was the actual board itself that closed the shelter?
That's what I understand, but there's no authorities in all that paperwork in public record that gives the board the right to sell this building and to close down the shelter.
Okay. So
That's my point. And it's costing the taxpayers, or will cost the taxpayers, to produce another building. And in the longer term, it's going to cost the taxpayers a lot more money for these youth who don't get the vital services that they need.
Great, and through you, Mr. Chair, so you make a good point, but I'm in charge of the city. I cannot control an outside group. I can only control myself and the city that I help operate. So your message to us then is the urgency here in Scarborough is to have not necessarily that facility or that board, but a facility.
Yes.
Run by somebody who's good and responsible and loves the kids and will give them a haven or a safe place when they've had issues at home.
Absolutely. We need this vital service right now in our community. We have, every high school refers 3 to 6 students a year in our community. And these children, there used to be a facility that housed 60 of them. Where are they? There's no place for any of our services, our high school, judicial system, police, hospitals, to direct youth in these situations right now in our community. And I think that this issue is burning hot, and we need all of our concentrated efforts to fix it.
So then, so you take some peace of mind knowing that the local councillor and other folks like us are actively out there right now trying to do exactly what you're saying. So that you're just telling us, do it as fast as humanly possible. We need a shelter in Scarborough.
Yes, and the second part of that message is we need someone to take a look at all these public records to find where this group of volunteers has the authority. None of it was given. Lots of authority and consents were given, but not that one in any of the agreements that were made back in 87 and 88 between the City of Scarborough, the Church of the Epiphany, or the second base youth shelter. That piece is not in here, and yet that piece has been done.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you very much for coming
Thank you
today.
very much for coming, Marika. Are there any other people in the audience who would like to speak to the subcommittee? Okay, seeing none, we are finished the afternoon session. I want to thank everybody for coming out and speaking with us. I'm sure it was informative for all of us. And I just have to move a motion that the Budget Subcommittee for City Hall, Scarborough Civic Center, and East York Civic Center consultation receive for information the public presentations. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We are now in recess until 6. Oh, we're adjourned. Actually, this meeting is adjourned. We'll be beginning the evening session at 6 p.m. Thank you.